Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Yes, it's your boy Kane Otsutsuki here, back tonight with a part 1 of what if Naruto was half Astral, half Otsutsuki. In the first part, I explained who his parents were. Female Azura and Talos. Talos is the first Otsutsuki, the most powerful, the god of them. As Azura, well, she literally is named Azura the Destructor, as goddess of destruction, as she has literally been able to kill God himself. As pretty much the two meet in a sort of strange way. Well, strange for normal humans. For them, it's just like an average Tuesday. As pretty much the Otsutsuki are, well, claiming are basically draining chakra from another world, or Talos is, as this world is about 10 times the size of Jupiter, as he just gobbles the whole thing and says, alright, another measly planet to go, and another measly planet down, as then suddenly the planet begins to regenerate or come back to life. As Talos then says, that's odd, I thought I drained all the chakra. Oh well, as he tries to drain the chakra from the world, but it isn't draining. As then he sees a girl walking, and as he sees a woman looking like this, except with long white hair, less muscular, and less beefy, and with boobs and, of course, at least some sort of covering. As the woman, as he then says, huh? I thought I drained all the chakra of every being on this world. I thought I thought it should be gone by now. As Talos, angry, and angrily, then says, you there, who are you and how dare you still live? I've absorbed all the life force energy of this world. Now speak, girl. As, well, female Azura would only say, you, that's not true. Because I'm supplying this world with life energy. As he then says, impossible. And Miss Talos then says impossible. Now, if you don't know a thing about Azura's wrath, then allow me to explain. In the world of Azura's wrath, Azura is a being that has literally killed his, well, pretty much in this, it's a female Azura, so she destroyed her siblings, she defeated basically the god of death, or the devil himself, and she also defeated, well, God himself. You see, in their world, they have a sort of power that's similar to chakra, except it isn't. It's a life force energy, yes, like chakra, except it is called mantra. Now, mantra can make an average Joe look like from this to this. And by the way, he's the size of 10 Earths. And he's the size of a planet right now. If she's in this form. As She then says, you did not absorb all the mantra from this world. And she then says, mantra? What the, when the dickens is a mantra? I've absorbed all the chakra from this world. As the two are then just begin arguing. As Azura then explains how she's the goddess of destruction, and how she's the goddess of destruction, as Talos then explains how he's the god of gods, as Otsutsuki are gods, and Otsutsuki are gods, as he then says, I'm the king of the gods. I am a king of a species of gods. I am the most powerful. How is this mantra somewhat stronger than chakra? As she then says, well, one, it came from the creator of existence, the god of gods, which I killed. As he then says, you really are a goddess of destruction. Very well then. What's your name, miss? As she then says, Azara. Yes, Azara will be gender-bended Azura's name. As then says, well then my name is Talos. As they basically begin talking. And over time, I'm gonna say over a time span of 100 years, while draining planets, Talos keeps bumping into her. And then they begin dating. Sort of a destructive god thing. God thing going on between them. As one night, as one day, Talos feels bored with his immortality, all of his gifts, all of his strength, as he then says, I have basically all the power in the world, in existence. I basically have all the power of an entire universe at my fingertips. But I'm bored. Just taking power and adding it to myself is harsh and boring. Ugh. As Azura then says, I mean, rejuvenating planets with my power isn't exactly what I'd call living either. As the two then say, well, Talos then says, I have an idea. What if we were to go to a mortal world and hide there as long as we like? As Azura would then say, yes. As they then say, good. As Azura and Talos would begin searching for a perfect world, or at least a okay world, as they would find the Earth. It was bountiful with chakra. As well, how they came across this world was Talos was looking through the world tree gardens they have, as he then saw the Earth. As every 1,000 or maybe even 10,000 years, a chakra fruit is created, eaten from this world's power. However, the planet still is alive. As then says, I don't really like farming from worlds, but this world might do. As he shows Azara the Earth. It then says, would you like to go there? As she says, yes. As she then activates her mantra form, and goes into Azara the Destructor form. And she then says, and as Talos is pretty much just on her shoulders, she then says, hold on. As Talos is holding on. And within a couple of hours, they reach the Earth. As Talos then says, let's see. The chakra level of this world is okay. The beings here have chakra, but they are too. The beings here are primitive, but they do have chakra. I wonder how they use it. Can they, as he would then think, I wonder how they use it. Can they manipulate it to control stones? Can they use it to create giant tornadoes with the flick of their wrists? As he would then see what jutsus were, and he'd say, oh, hell no. Now, as he would basically begin rushing over to people doing jutsus like Jonin, as he'd say, oh, come on, you're doing it all wrong. Wrong form. What even is this? You call that a fireball? As he would then breathe in without doing any hand signs and create a giant blue fireball. As he'd then say, that's a fireball. As when I mean giant, I mean this fireball is probably the size of a 2-story house with an attic and basement, which is basically 4 stories. As he would then say, behold, that's a fireball. What you guys were doing couldn't even be considered a fireball where I'm from. That could be considered a spark. Just a tiny bit of flame. As, well, Talos would then say, it appears I'll have to teach some of you how to actually use chakra properly. As, Talos would sort of open a tutoring. Basically, he'd create a tutoring building out in the woods, as he would say, come here to get trained by the best of the best. As he would be in a human form, shorter blue hair, hiding the horns, human skin, and of course not wearing his godly robes, and his third eye would be closed. As Talos would basically look like a 25-year-old man. As he would say, my God, no wonder why. No wonder why these humans are so weak. They can't even use chakra correctly. They can't even use a fireball, or they can't even use a firebow correctly, or tornadoes, or they can't even create a beam of concentrated chakra to destroy a mountain. They can't even harness enough strength. They can't even put enough chakra into their hands to break a mountain in half. They can't make worlds shake. As he'd say, it's hopeless. Hopeless, I tell you. These humans can't even. These humans can't even harness a tiny bit of what I can do. As he would then punch, he would he would punch the ground, and suddenly giant mountains would hurl out of the ground. As he'd say, see, I can create mountains by punching the ground. They can only make mud walls by doing hand signs. Mud walls. Small mud walls. Are you serious? As she would then say, it's okay, dear. I mean, at least people here know of chakra. No one here even knows how to use mantra. Seriously, no one. As he'd then say, thanks, dear. As we do a 9-month time skip when Azara would be pregnant, as she'd be screeching and screaming, as she'd say, ah, 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 and she'd be screaming and throwing things and pulverizing things and shooting out fireballs out of her hands, as Talos would say, deep breaths, darling, deep breaths. Okay? Do it for the baby, do it for the baby. As the child would be born. As he'd then say, perfect. As the child would be born, as it would have their cyan, and as it would basically have used the best parts of each parent, as there would be a sort of fusion of mantra and chakra flowing around him, as they then say, huh? What is this? It appears to be a fusion of both of our energies, mantra and chakra. Magnificent. As they would try to take off the glow, but then they would soon realize that Naruto was born looking like this. As then Naruto would then begin. Basically, the fire you see here would begin to form as Naruto's head would turn into a just fiery dragon head. As he'd then say, whoa, easy there, kiddo. As he'd say, don't hurt your father. I don't want to hurt you. As he would then say, perfect. He is strong. He'll become a strong, powerful god one day. Maybe even be stronger than both of us combined. Yes. As we do a time skip of 2 weeks. As Talos would be raising Naruto, as he'd say, you are the most precious thing to me right now. Well, aside from your mother, of course. As he would be cradling the baby, as then a black portal would open up. As then out of it would be, hold on, as suddenly a portal opens up, and 6 people come out. As 5 of them are in chakra modes, 1 of them is not. Now, of course, these people are not like Naruto, so they can turn off these chakra modes. As 1 of them is in a pink chakra mode, the other is in a purple, as another is a female and in purple, as 1 of them is in a green chakra mode, as the other is in a blue. As the dude who is in the purple chakra mode then and turns off his chakra mode, as pretty much they all turn off their chakra modes and begin to look somewhat like this, as it's 5 Otsutsuki. As they then say, "My lord, you've Lord Talos, we are here to collect you. After all, you have an entire race of gods to rule." As then, a 6th man would push at them, would basically be behind them, as he would say, "And I am here for Zara. For we still have unfinished business." If you have no idea what I'm talking about, basically, in a hidden chapter of Azura's Wrath, Azura was fighting Ryu from Street Fighter. Ryu lost. Akuma comes out of nowhere. However, he beats Akuma, and Akuma turns into Oni, which is this guy. As Oni then says, and basically, pretty much, Oni and Azura fought each other to a standstill, as they fought each other for 5,000 years. They basically turned to stone, or they were petrified from fighting for so long, as then they would awaken and fight again. And that's pretty much how Azura's Wrath ends, with Azura and Oni trading blows. As he then says, "We still have a battle to win. We still have a battle to fight. Azura, now die." As she then says, "Not here." As she then points at Naruto, and she says, "You'll wake the baby. And you don't want to wake the baby." As he then says, "I guess you're right." As he then opens a portal made of blue and black lightning, as he says, "Go in there. It'll teleport us to a planet few billion light years away. There we'll be able to settle this fight once and for all." As for the other 5, they said, "My lord, we did not know you had a child, but that still, you have an entire empire to lead." And then, as Talos then says, "Dutifully so, I have an empire to lead, so be it." As he then snaps his fingers, his skin goes back to normal, his horns come out of his skull, his hair gets longer, his third eye opens as his outfit appears, as he says, "Fine." Ugh. As Naruto is left parentless, but before his father leaves, his father says, "Take him to an Otsutsuki that is near here, or at least the nearest Otsutsuki." As they would think that Naruto resembles a Tensegon chakra mode, as they would basically think the nearest Otsutsuki here would be Tamar, and would be Tonari. As Tonari lives on the moon. As I think Tonari is like a grandson of, what's his name? Humara? Or something like that. As pretty much Tonari would be living on the moon, as then a black portal would open up, as then as basically the five Otsutsuki would appear and would basically fly to the moon, as they would say, "This is your property, do not hurt him, do not abandon him, or else Talos himself will end you." Now, of course, Tonari, like most Otsutsuki, had heard of Talos. However, just to even think of going against him, if you were to even blink at him in a wrong, or as he deems, disrespectful way, he would absorb all your chakra and instantly one-shot kill you. As he would then say, "What's so important about this child?" As they then say, "It's Talos' son." As Tonari would then say, "Thank you for giving me this honor to raise our god's son." Our god's son. As the five would then say, "Hey, don't do anything wrong, or Talos will end you." As then they would fly away. Pretty much. As Tonari would look at Naruto and say, "Well, you're a funny looking Otsutsuki, huh?" As we do a time skip of 12 years. And we do a time skip of 4 years. Now, Tonari has moved down to Earth. Kinda because, well, Tonari can't really, not really down to Earth, but Tonari, he is pretty much training Naruto. How to fight, be strong, prepare himself. As they're sparring. Remember, Naruto is a 4-year-old. As Naruto's body then shifts into a sort of fiery, basically he shapeshifts into this form. As he then says, "I'm the moon. I win again for the 10,869th time." As Tonari would then say, "Damn it." Well, okay. Well, you beat me again. So, what do you want to do? "Oh, now, for your reward, of course." As he then say, "Can we please go to Earth?" As Tonari would then say, "Fine." As he would then say, "We're flying down to Earth, okay?" As Naruto would then say, "Okay." As Tonari would float down to the earth. Well, Naruto would float down to the earth gracefully like a god who never knew what wrong was in all of existence. As for Taneri, he straight up fell and created a tiny crater. She then said, "Ow." As Naruto would begin laughing and say, You can't beat me, huh? Tanari, you can't beat me. As Tanari would then say, Whatever, whatever, Dad. And as he'd say, whatever, Naruto. At least I am older than you. As Naruto would then say, was that literally the best insult you could come up with? As Tanari would then say in a defeated voice, yes. It isn't my fault. As he then say, it isn't my fault you're too... As Naruto would then say, it isn't my fault you're too weak. As Naruto as Tanari would then say, what did you say? Did you just say I'm too weak? I'll have you know. I will have you know that my ancestor was a god. It was a half-god named Hamura, as he's way less famous than his brother, but still, he's a really cool guy. And he's possibly even stronger. As Naruto would then say, yeah. Now, as I said, he is 4 years old, but he has kind of the mental state of a 14-year-old. As they begin walking around and looking at life on Earth, as they're just like, whoa. Well, this is a strange world. As Tanari would then say, indeed. The Earth is a mysterious place. It's a lot bigger than the moon, which means it could hold a lot more dangers. Which is one reason why we don't come down here. As then, and Naruto would say, who's, well, Tanari, can we go look around, see if there's any villages nearby? As Tanari would then say, fine, Naruto. As Naruto would then say, yes, thank you, Tanari. As Tanari would then say, sure, kid. As they would basically wander around and go to the Leaf Village. As Tanari would be walking around and see Hinata. As around this time, Hinata is, 4 years old. As Tanari would see Hinata being bullied, as he'd say, that poor woman's being bullied. Hold on. As Tanari looks like this, right now at least, as he then activates his chakra mode or his Tensegon cloak, as he then says, "Leave her alone! Leave her alone!" And he... Hold on. Now, Tenere begins punching away the bullies as he says, "Are you alright, ma'am? Are you alright, little girl?" As, hold on. As Tenere sees Hinata, as he says, "Holy, yeah, um," as he begins stuttering, and he says, "Wow, you're really pretty." As she then says, "Thanks, who are you?" As he then says, "Oh, my name is Tenere Otsutsuki, and this is Naruto." As Tenere then flips out of his, and then basically turns off his chakra mode, in his chakra form, as he says, "See, I can look normal." See, Naruto here, on the other hand, was born like that. He cannot look normal. as he as he then says, "Now, why were those kids bullying you?" As she says, "They were making fun of my eyes, as they called me a ghost-eyed freak." As he then says, "Really? Let me see your eyes." As Teneri, and as she opens her eyes in front of Teneri, and he just smiles widely and says, and as he just smiles widely, as he then sees the possible future. As he sees, well, hold on. As he then sees a flip between two modes. As he sees Hinata in then this form, as then there is a crossroad, or a fork in the road. As he then sees a Hinata Tensegon cloak that looks like this, and then he sees this. As Teneri then says, as he smiles widely and says, "You're coming with us." Where do you, but first, where do you live? As she would then say the Hyuga compound, she'd say, Hyuga? Huh, weird. You should be ranked as an Otsutsuki. As then, he senses a familiar energy. Pretty much, he senses, well, goddess level energy. As he says, "This girl isn't human. Well, at least isn't fully human, as I should watch out." So hold on. Okay, sorry about that. As Teneri then says, as it doesn't really matter, as I'm going to sort of take you to my home. As she then says, where do you live, mister?" As he would then point up in the sky and say, "The moon." As she then say, "That's very funny, mister, but that's not possible. No one can live in the moon, up in the moon." As he then says, "Oh, allow me to introduce myself. I am Taneri Otsutsuki, as the Otsutsuki clan is a race of gods, is a race of godlike beings. I am probably one of the strongest, well, one of the weakest. However, I still have phenomenal godlike power, as I can crack planets in half. As then 4-year-old Naruto would then say, yeah, you can crack planets in half, but you can't beat me in a fight. As he'd then say, why, you little... As he'd then calm down and say, anyways, you're going to be living with us, as I see great promise for you in the future. As he then says, but first, we have to make it look like we took you against your will. As she then says, wait, why? As he then says, because Naruto and I enjoy a fight, so we would want your leader or father or whoever is peeved off to send their strongest. That way, we can actually have a decent fight that isn't each other, because Naruto, he always beats me. As he then says that, as Hinata then says that should be impossible. You look like you're 25 years old. And you look like you're 16 years old. As Taneri then says, yes, I know. However, Naruto here, well, he's pretty much a god. And he's pretty much way stronger than me considering his bloodlines. As he then said, he appears to be a combination of two different godly genes. As, well, he's never met his real parents before, as I ain't allowed to tell him who they are. Okay? So, pretty much, yeah, you come with us. You're gonna live with me. Hope you like tea, giant castles on the moon, and learning how to breathe on the moon. As then says, yeah, when we get there, I'm gonna teach you how to breathe on the moon. As he then says, I'll also have to clean out a room for you in my castle. As he then says, but yeah, other than that, I think you'll like it there. It's nice, secluded. It's a perfect place for you to and, well, we do have areas to train Byakugan. As she then says, huh? How do you know? And then says, please. After all, I have the highest evolved version. As he then activates his Tensegon, but not his cloak. As she then says, whoa. As he then says, I know. It's the strongest level of the Byakugan. Or you could just call it the Tensegon. As Naruto here has no dojutsu. However, he does have a sort of special, I guess you could say, Kekkeigenkai. As Naruto's Kekkeigenkai has 3 states. The first state is Demehyu. The first state is just a sort of fiery aura. The second state is a half fiery, half physical, and the third, which I'm pretty sure is a one-time use, and then if you use it again, it's permanent. is physical, and it's fully physical. Astoneri would then say, but hold on. Pfft. Boy, I literally told you who it was. That's coming out tomorrow. You are all basically being showcased, so boom. As Taneri would then, as Taneri would then say, now hold on to my hand. As he would then begin to fly, as she would then say, ah. As he'd say, don't worry. Now, let's go make some ruckus. Sorry about this, but you have to pretend you're struggling. As she then says, okay. As she then begins to sway around and says like this, as then says, perfect. Now you also have to have a terrified face on. Okay? As as she then says, okay, now, and then he says, now, where are these Hyugas? And now, where is this Hyuga compound? As she would then say, over there. As he would go to the Hyuga compound, where Hayashi would see Taneri holding his daughter. As she would be swaying around, or what appeared to be trembling in fear. As Taneri would then say, I have your daughter, and you will never see her again. As he then says, not even if you send your strongest, after all. As he then says, but if you dare want to, send your strongest warriors. Maybe they'll do the trick. As Taneri then says, oh, by the way. As he then flicks into his Tensagon cloak, as he then destroys the Hyuga compound, and not really killing any Hyugas, just hurting a lot of people, as he then says, there. Now I can leave. As he then begins flying, as Naruto begins flying. As the two then fly over to the moon, and, well, pretty much they bring Hinata to the moon, as Taneri then flicks into his human form and says, alright Naruto, I predict within the week they will bring their strongest warriors to fight us, maybe even stronger, as this will be a piece of cake, and as it will actually be good training and good experience for you. As Taneri then, and as Naruto then hugs Taneri and says, alright Taneri. As Taneri then smiles and hugs Naruto back and says, now, time for bed. As he leads Hinata to a spare room, and Naruto goes to his room. By the way, no, Hinata is not the ship for Naruto. No matter how many of you spam it in the comments, I don't care if there's over 200 comments that all just say Hinata is the ship, Hinata is the ship, Hinata is the ship. You know what I will say? No, 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 no. I already have the ship designed. And for Naruto. But Hinata is a ship for someone else. Okay. You just have to wait in due time and tell me in the comments who you think the ship might be for Hinata. As well, we do a 4-year time skip, and we do a week time skip, as pretty much Jonin are pretty much Jonin have arrived at the moon via body flicker and fast speeds, teleportation, you know, all that. As pretty much they have their strongest at the moon. As Taneri then says, Naruto, this should be a decent fight. You ready? As Naruto then says, uh-huh. As Taneri then says, I want to see what these guys are made of, so go into your second state, okay, Naruto? As Naruto then says, yes, Taneri. As Naruto flips into a sort of watery, a blue fiery dragon form that is kind of half physical, half not. As it looks like it's made of blue water, when in reality it's just melted blue fire. As if you touch it, it will burn you. As Naruto then says, as Naruto then begins fighting against all of the ninjas, as well. An hour later, all the ninjas are defeated. As Taneri and Naruto say weak, they called those their best. Well, at least it was. At least it chalks up to some sort of training. As as Taneri would then say, I guess. Well, time to see how Hinata is holding up. As they walk over to where Hinata is. As Hinata is sort of learning how to breathe. Well, she can all. After the 4th day, she perfectly learned how to breathe in space. As they then say, wow, you're cool. And as Naruto then says, wow, you're a clickle burner. Very nice. As Tanari then says, alright, well, guess it's time for some real training. As, well, we go to a 8-year time. We go to a 4-year time skip, as they are both the age of 8. As Taneri is 20. As Taneri then says, alright, you two, you're going to Earth for a little intel. And for a little, I want to say surprise attack. As I have just received news that, well, the Earthling, a human, or I guess a demi-human, has been born. As it's a as it is pretty much a child of Talos's sister, of, well, your aunt Aniko. As Aniko kind of dated a man named Yasha for a while. Yasha is kind of the ex of your mother, so yeah. Yasha and your aunt have a kid. The thing is, we need to go down there and find the kid. So, you two ready? As they would say, yep. Ashtonari would then say, good. As he would then say, now, Naruto, you're going to have to use genjutsu. As Naruto would then say, got it. As his skin would, and as Naruto's hair would still be blue, kind of like Tonari's, except he would look like Naruto. As his hair would be a bit brighter than Tonari's. His skin, of course, would look a bit more pale. As he would then say, alright, let's go. As the three would begin floating down to the human world. As I forgot to mention during this 8-year time skip, Hinata has sort of learned how to do and has kind of a weak Tenseion, as she can do a chakra mode. As it looks somewhat like this. As soon she will, as Tonari then decides that, it's perfect. She's already at the midway point, and soon after that, her destiny will be decided of whether or not she will be human or Otsutsuki. As he'd be talking to himself, of course, as the three would begin floating down to the human realm, as Tonari would disguise himself to look human, and Hinata would have her cloak off. But at the same time, disguise herself to look completely different. After all, she did not want to deal with the Hyugas. As she would then use another type of genjutsu to hide her eyes. As the three would pretty much go down to Earth. As they would arrive at the gates of Konoha. As they would walk in, they would do the academy, they'd do the academy test. They'd, of course, pass, and then they would be put on Kakashi's team. As they would pretty much, by the way, there is a third person on this team, as it is not Sasuke. The third person is a girl named Tari. I'm Azari. As Azari, well, she has short hair. She has short white hair. And she basically looks human. As, well, yeah. I'm not telling you that till later. As Kakashi enters as when Kakashi enters, he then he basically walks in and says, "My first impression of you three is interesting. As it appears, all three of you have high-level genjutsus on." As they then say, "What?" As Kakashi would then say, "Don't worry, I won't use my Sharingan to take off your genjutsus." After all, I respect privacy. After all, I respect privacy. After all, I have my own privacy. After all, I have my own secrets to keep. As then, he'd say, anyways, let's get on, meet me at the roof. They would meet at the roof and then they would tell their goals. As Naruto would say, my name is Naruto Otsutsuki, and my goal is let me basically show you what Naruto looks like. As Naruto would look like this. Now Naruto would then say, hey, right, let's see here. My name is Naruto Otsutsuki. I like training. My guardian Chanari, I like going on long strolls. And then he would say, I also like long moonlit hikes. And I also like moonlit walks. Now, as Kakashi and Azari are thinking, so he just likes walking at night when the moon is out. But what Naruto really means is he likes literally walking on the moon. No, he literally just likes taking strolls on the moon. As Naruto then would then say, my dislikes are people thinking that I am weak, people disrespecting me, and bullies. As Hinata would then say my name. As Hinata would then think, crap, I need to make a false name. I should then say, I got it. I should then think, I got it. I should then say, my name is Yanara. Is Yanara Otsutsuki. My name is Yanara Hiyatoshi. I should then say, saved. And I should then think, I'm saved. As she'd then say, my goals are, my likes are training, uh, let's see, Naruto's guardian Taneri, because he's always nice, uh, training, and, well, basically everything that Naruto likes. I dislike the Hyuga. I dislike, like, um, people being stronger than me. I dislike being weak. I dislike being called weak. As then Naruto and Hinata would then say the same goal. My goal is to be. My goal is to, well, prove my future. Is to prove my destiny. To understand my purpose. As Azari would then go, as she would then breathe in and say, Cliffhanger no Jutsu. That is where this part ends off. Sorry guys. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. And I'll see y'all later. Later, Kaden.